What if we could detect cancer years before it strikes? A new study suggests we can. Scientists have discovered traces of cancer DNA in blood samples taken more than 3 years before an official diagnosis. This breakthrough could change how we approach early detection and treatment forever. At Johns Hopkins University, researcher Yuxuan Wang and her team were stunned to find that they could detect DNA from tumors long before symptoms appeared. This DNA, known as circulating tumor DNA, floats in the bloodstream like a shadow of a disease yet to fully take hold. The idea of early detection is not new. We've known that tumors shed DNA into blood. But until now, it was like looking for a needle in a haystack. Tumors in early stages are tiny, releasing minuscule amounts of DNA that evade traditional tests. To test their theory, Wang's team examined blood samples from a long-term health study dating back to the 1980s and 90s. These samples came from people who were later diagnosed with cancer. Some were taken 6 months before the diagnosis. Others, more than 3 years prior. In the initial group, they found cancer DNA in 8 out of 26 people's blood. That alone is groundbreaking. But the real shock came when they studied older samples, blood drawn over 3 years before cancer ever showed up. The DNA was still there. They used whole genome sequencing, a method that maps out every single letter in our DNA. Even with just a teaspoon of old, poorly preserved blood, they managed to detect cancer-specific alterations in the DNA. These are the fingerprints of a tumor. This was no ordinary sample. The blood had been stored for decades in tubes that weren't meant for DNA preservation. Yet the team succeeded. This suggests that with better technology and fresher samples, early detection could become even more accurate and accessible. Imagine what this means for cancer screening. No more waiting for symptoms. No more chance discoveries. You could walk into a clinic, get a blood test, and walk out with years of advantage in fighting cancer before it even begins to grow. Experts like William Grady at Fred Hutchinson Cancer Center call this result provocative. He envisions a future straight out of Star Trek, where precancerous cells are caught and eliminated before they ever turn dangerous. A world where cancer rarely has a chance. But we're not there yet. This was a proof of concept study, a glimpse of what's possible. Wang's team is now working on validating these results in a much larger group. They want to ensure the findings hold up before this can be used in everyday clinical practice. Still, the implications are massive. A diagnosis made just a few months earlier can offer more treatment options and higher survival rates. Imagine what a few years could do. Early detection doesn't just save lives, it transforms them. Of course, as with any new medical development, challenges remain. The cost of whole genome sequencing, the sensitivity of testing, and access for all communities must be addressed. But this study gives hope that we are closer than ever to a new era in cancer care. This isn't science fiction. This is the future knocking on our door. With more research, better funding, and public support, we could change the outcome of millions of lives around the world. We need to invest in this future. That's why we're asking for your help. If you believe in early detection, in better outcomes, and in saving lives, please consider supporting us. Your donation helps bring cutting-edge research into the light and gives hope to families everywhere. Together, we can push the boundaries of what's possible in healthcare. We can create a world where a cancer diagnosis doesn't come too late. We can make early detection the new normal. Thank you for watching. Let's make this future real, together.